you think it's going to run out?
When you say abusing your power?
For me, I say it like
using it on other people.
Whether it be using it on other people or using it to manipulate situations, people, circumstances, however you want to look at it. Because say for example, if you truly believe, I'm just going to say a woman or man, but I'm going to go with a female. She believes she's beautiful, yeah, and like she believes this with every inch of her soul. She doesn't need to tell people because it's about her belief and her knowing her worth. So even if somebody comes and says, "Oh, I don't think you're that nice," that's going to bounce off of her. That's just going to ricochet, because you know what? Her in-ground beliefs and sense of self is so strong, it does not matter. She
doesn't need permission.
Right. Now, if she goes round saying da 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 da, that becomes the ego that's talking. Do you understand? That's when you're like, and a lot of the time, ego is there as a defense mechanism for some people, depending on the situation. If you truly believe in something, you don't need that defense mechanism, because in itself, it is defending you. It's already a parameter.
An abuse of power is what the police do every single time. So when we speak about common law and fictitious law, right? The laws that apply for them is the same for us, but they ignore, whether it's through their ignorance, whether it's through them not knowing, right? They are supposed to approach us with respect and in fairness. So if it's supposed to be fair, then we're supposed to know. We're supposed to know exactly what common law is. So if we know that we don't have to speak to you when you ask us anything, because if we ain't committed a crime, if we ain't hurt no one, and you are approaching us, you're breaking your oath. Instantly, which is a sackable offence.
But they're civil servants.
And they're civil servants. But that is an abuse of power, because you're not letting us know what you should let us know, which would make this situation fair, because you use a language that we really don't understand.
And a lot of them don't understand.
And a lot of them don't understand it.
So what happens is they're just being
manipulated.
They're being manipulated. Like, yo, go out and because you're paid, and this is why money is dangerous, because it ties them energetically into this thing that's not necessarily for their.
Sorry, quickly. And because you think through ego that you joining the force, you're making a difference. That's the biggest trick, because the police force is built on manipulation. The police force are not here to help us. They're here to protect the land. They're not here to help us, because
if they were, then we would see that.
If they were, we would see it in this time right now.
They would be like, listen,
and
we're not enforcing nothing,
right?
Which they
because they can't enforce nothing. But when you really think about it,
when you haven't committed a crime, they can't enforce.
When you've got acts,
and
bills and stuff. This is all fictitious.
Statutes is based on status.
Right. This is all
which
fictitious.
Is an ego-led.
This is all fictitious, which shows that they are running a scam, because what overrules us all is common law. That's it. Acts and everything like that isn't the laws of the land.
And common law is like, for those who don't know, like common law is like your natural law. So it's like, do not cause injury, do not cause harm, and do not cause loss. And the police are never to delay or deny rights to justice. That's what they're meant to do. But what they've been doing is delaying. Right. So they've been kind of enforcing because there's police man and woman, and they meant to uphold the law. And then now they've become police officers.
Right.
Yeah.
So officers are collectors of, like, so for instance, just to give you an example. So if you haven't seen, or for those who are frustrated right now as drivers in the UK, you will see that all of a sudden there's all these kind of, like, especially in London, all these roads have popped up. There's permits everywhere. Now, if you pay MOT tax, car insurance, why do you need a permit? I always ask people. If you park on a yellow painted line, what did you do wrong? Did you hurt anyone? Did you cause injury? Did you cause loss? No. So what they've done is they've gone to the bankers and said, hey, based on the fact that we can control, as you said, the rules of the game, and now we've borrowed some money off of you, a couple billion, and we need to get that back. We know how people live, and we know we can put permits that will bring us a certain level of income, revenue, through permits.
But
So if we charge,
even wardens, remember they used to be parking wardens.
so they'll get a quota, and if the wardens alone can't meet the
But
quota,
they're not
then
wardens
the police now then are
But
instructed
remember
to like help
and
meet
that's the
quota.
point, they've moved them up because remember they were.
But the police don't get told this. So a poor policeman on the front line is like, yeah, I'm there to save the day, look after people. Yeah. But he gets tied into quotas
of destruction
because they have a quota for stop and search.
But Jay,
so you need to do a certain amount of arrests, and that then becomes it's criminalised in society rather than saying actually you are good people, the majority of you, and there's a few negative ones. When you commit crime, we'll come to you. But what they're doing now is, hey, what's your name? They need to control and know everything about you in case.
But this is how police don't. Well, people don't realise even they're getting certain abuse because now there's a level before that, right? As I was saying, parking wardens. They used to be parking wardens and parking attendants. Wardens are someone that's meant to go up and down to check, just to check, yeah. Not to reinforce anything, but to check. So report anything that needs to be said so that whoever above them needs to come in and do it. And that would be how now they're using the police. They are now parking enforcement officers. Again, you've given them more power now because now they're officers. So now when you find that there's situations, when police now come to them, they're not looking down on the parking officers anymore in the same way. Now they've got them to kind of, do you understand what I'm saying? So it's like teamwork. So where we're not going to give the police an extra money to cover that, if we boost you lot up, pretty much keep you on the same pay, but give you a bigger title, you now feel that you've got more power within your role. Because we remember that when they were wardens, they were still getting beaten up a lot of the time on their beds, yeah? So you turn around, give them a little bit more power, but still get the police to do that bit of the job without making them feel like they're losing anything and they don't need the extra pay for it. Do you see what I mean? So they're still getting manipulated from up there, but the manipulation streams down.
Yeah.
But if anything, by what those by what those definitions were, police have a good complex. But no one will say that or see it. But it's them that will have the complex because they're abusing the authority, and the authority and the ego that comes with it allows them to think that they're above everybody else. Take that uniform off and you're exactly the same as the rest of us.
To end, the reason why the game ultimately is rigged is because when we're talking about stuff like drugs being sold and then being sellers and stuff, related to the drugs are brought into
coming
the
from
country, right? So they need to make this cops and robbers thing a real thing to give them work, because the reality is there isn't as much crime as they say it is. They wouldn't have that much to do. Like, it's all rigged. This is what I said about choice.
We have to be honest.
Right,
so
right.
When you take that money off the drug dealer,
right,
where does that go? I always speak to myself.
when we're talking about the courts,
we know.
when we're talking about the courts,
out to the good people.
But when we're talking about how the court is set up, which is linked to Parliament, the police,
which is
with parties, right? So the courts, Parliament, police, and all of that, right?
And police. If you look at the word policy, if you change the way
absolutely right.
Policies.
Yeah.
That triangle is organised crime.
Of course it is.
Because
it's the biggest one.
These bills and shit are being passed through Parliament, and they become a real thing. But as we said, these bills are not lawful. They're not common law. The triangle, right? So the game is rigged.
You got the police at the bottom.
When man say like, don't cap, don't be fake, and all this type of stuff, the game is fake. The game is fraudulent because it's not common law. It doesn't stand under common law, because if common law was the shit, like really implemented, like none of this could happen. Do you know how
empty prisons would be?
Well, not really, because there are murderers.
No. But what I'm saying is they're overfilled now.
Right.
Yeah, if we
so
look at
they've used
terms of
money
how
and drugs as a way
overfilled it
to.
is, if we took half of these things that under common law wouldn't be a thing, wouldn't be a crime, and you took that out, you would have people in prison. You're always going to have people in prison, but the numbers would be significantly lower.
Because remember, these things got introduced. So remember, like drugs, Coca-Cola used to have
Coke in it. That's why it's called Coca-Cola.
Like,
That's how it is.
so where did it come? It come through the same people have set the rules by saying, okay, well, once we realize it's negative. Now, cool, but a lot of this stuff is like heroin, Coca-Cola, all these drugs, they again have been manipulated to be negative. It can be used positively, but because there needs to be, because there's actually there's an industry in the dark world.
Guys, it's all balance. This is the thing. You
Yeah.
can't have good without bad.
This is
You can't
capitalism.
have pure without evil.
And all I say to individuals, like wherever, if you're in the police force, if you're a person who's like, I'm not really, just investigate for yourself. We're not saying you should think away, we're just saying question everything and come to your own understanding, because it's very interesting, and you get I find it really interesting learning about these things and just like learning about, okay, if you're a police officer that comes into the force with good intention, how do you navigate that without? And you can't really, because you basically tapped into the game.
The game's bigger than you.
Yeah, and it's really hard.
And you didn't make the rules, and you can't
play a part, or you
can't change the narrative. Because as I said about the dream, the pilgrim's dream, this is his idea. How dare you step into his dream and change his rules? Can't happen, Jay. No one can step into your brain and say, I'm going to change the very core of the thing that you want. They want what they want, and they're going to get what they want.